The Tour Guide. Main character Adam. The beginning of the tour. It was almost 9 p.m. when Adam arrived at the courtyard of the old mansion atop the hill. The fog wrapped the place like a choking scarf, and the air was heavy with the stench of mold and rot. Adam stood among a small group of 9 strangers, all lured by curiosity. Suddenly a tall man appeared from within the mist. He wore a long black coat and an antique hat. His footsteps made no sound, as if the earth itself didn't feel him. In a hollow voice, he said, "Welcome to the Grandwell Mansion tour. I'm your guide, Gregor." Adam smiled nervously. One of the tourists took a group photo. When she looked at it moments later, she screamed. The guide's face was completely blank, like a smooth, featureless mask. The breathing door. They approached the mansion's massive iron doors. Just as one of them reached out to open it, the doors creaked open on their own, with a deep metallic groan, as if the house itself was inhaling. The guide whispered, "The house welcomes you." Adam felt a chill in his spine and sniffed the air. He could smell decay. And then he heard it, a soft whisper calling his name. "Adam." He looked around, but no one had spoken. Eyes that follow. Inside the grand foyer, a large portrait of a noblewoman dominated the wall. Her painted eyes seemed to follow everyone's movement. Someone whispered, "Are her eyes moving?" Adam stepped closer. From her eyes, thick red tears began to drip. When he touched one with his finger, it was cold and sticky. Real blood. The forbidden room. On the second floor, the guide stopped in front of a black wooden door, etched with strange symbols. He said sharply, "This room must never be opened." As they walked past, Adam heard the faint sound of a child laughing behind the door, then saw a small hand waving at him from underneath it. Vanishing tourists. In the ballroom, soft, classical music started playing from nowhere. 2 of the tourists drifted behind a pillar and never returned. Someone shouted, "Where are Lena and Mark?" Suddenly, ghostly figures began dancing across the floor, and among them, the missing tourists, their limbs stiff, forced into a waltz with invisible partners. Then, they vanished into the wall. The cursed mirror. They entered a Victorian-style bedroom. One woman approached a tall mirror and screamed, It's me. Dead." Everyone rushed over. In the mirror's reflection, she appeared as a decayed corpse, white eyes staring back, lips torn open in a grotesque grin. The mirror cracked on its own, but the reflection remained. The guide disappears. In a narrow hallway, the sound of the guide's footsteps suddenly. The endless stairs. Trying to escape, the group found a spiral staircase. They descended, but the stairs never ended. The air grew heavier. One of the tourists collapsed from exhaustion. Another screamed, "Look at his face, he's aged decades." The man's skin was wrinkled and pale, as if he'd lived 40 years in 5 minutes. The guide returns. In the main hall, Gregor reappeared, but now his skin was pale and lifeless. His voice echoed strangely, like multiple people speaking at once. He said, "Well done, you passed the test. Now, you belong to the house." Then he turned directly to Adam. "You are the last." No way out. Adam ran to the front door and tried to open it, but the handles were gone. The wood sealed itself like flesh healing shut. Blood began pouring down the walls. Behind him, the guide laughed, and his face started to decay, revealing a charred skull beneath. Adam screamed as darkness swallowed the room. The open ending. The next morning, police arrived after receiving multiple calls about a missing tour group. They found a camera lying in front of the mansion. When they reviewed the last photo, the entire group stood smiling at the camera. Behind them stood a tall man with no face, and in the middle of them all, Adam, smiling confidently. The end.